Hey there, welcome to this episode. I can't wait to talk more about manifestation. We're going to take a look at last month we talked about the law of cause and effect. This month we're talking about how we can kind of calm our nervous system and really catch up with the identity that we have placed on that manifestation of who we are and that next level of who we are. So listen in. I can't wait to share some tips with you. There's a moment in life when we sense an opening, where the life we've built begins inviting us into something more. Not because anything's wrong, but because we're ready for a deeper, truer expression of who we really are. This is the Lit Up Life podcast, conversations for those who are no longer interested in pushing, proving, or performing, and are ready to lead from truth, alignment, and inner authority. I'm Debbie Heiser, and here we talk about the inner shifts that change everything, how belief, identity, and energetic leadership shape the way you live, work, and choose. This isn't about becoming someone new, it's about coming home to who you already are. Hello there, and welcome back to the Lit Up Life with me, Debbie Heiser. Today, I'm going to talk about something really powerful. And it's about when we're trying to manifest something, we're really in a growth edge, we're leveling up, and we feel like things slow down or come to a screeching halt. And it's important to understand that when it slows down or it comes to a screeching halt or nothing's happening, that we're not doing anything wrong. That it's really about our identity. And our identity is integrating into this next level. So this episode really is for any of you that have ever heard yourself say, I'm doing all the things, why isn't it happening? And I will tell you, this happened to me last fall, and my coach was like, you're worried so much about it that you're creating it to not work, right? And so it honestly, David Hawkins has it right in his book, Letting Go. It's really simple. It really is about letting go and stopping our identity from trying to control, like our ego trying to control things. So when you think about, I'm doing all the things, why isn't it happening? You feel committed. You find your mind then doing these tricks on you. You feel like you want to stop, or you give up on the program that you developed, or this new offer, the health journey you're doing, whatever it is for you that you're manifesting. And so today we're going to talk a little bit more about the law of cause and effect, because if any of those things resonated with you, we have to remember that we are first cause. And that we're always in cause. It just depends on what effect we want. Now, what I find happen a lot is people don't understand what effect they want. They may be trying to manifest a new job. They may be trying to manifest more money in the bank or peace or a new program that they want to do. But what happens is we're not clear. And when I say clear, it kind of goes back to belief. And this is the identity piece that we're going to get into a little bit today. So we can go down a rabbit hole sometimes because we feel guilt or we feel shame that we are at first cause. So why isn't this happening? But really, first and foremost, I want you to understand there is nothing wrong with you. If something's not happening, and I joke that there's Debbie time and then there's real time, as fast as maybe what you want it to be, there is nothing wrong with you. You aren't doing anything wrong or bad, and you aren't broken. It's just that you're evolving, and your mind and your body and your nervous system just haven't melded all together quite yet. So when we evolve, our identity shifts. And many of you have heard me talk about brain science before, and we create beliefs based on identity, or the belief becomes part of our identity because it attaches to an emotion. And so when we shift our identity, it shifts our bodies. The physiological, chemical, biological makeup in our bodies changes. Our minds change, right? Things that are happening, the neuroscience, the neuroplasticity, new pathways are being developed. And when we evolve, our identity shifts too in our spiritual world. sometimes our belief, right? Belief in ourself, belief that what we have is worthwhile, belief that what we have is worth being paid for. So it's important to realize that every time you set a new intention, a new goal, you have a desire that you're moving towards, it's important to realize that sometimes we tend to focus so much in the future, that future state, that really we're never in the future state. I joke with my clients sometimes that, they want to have everything in order and have all the buttons put together and all their shit together and blah, blah, blah before they do something. That's like me saying I want to lose 20 pounds before I would leave my house. It sounds a little bit ridiculous, but that's what we end up doing to ourselves. So anytime you're growing, anytime you're evolving, anytime you set that new intention or you have a goal that you're reaching at and it's maybe different and it's bigger than what you've done in the past, we have to initiate an identity shift. So we're asking our brain and our nervous system, our mind, to believe something new. It could be about ourselves. It could be about something different. It could be about somebody else. We're also asking our brain and our heart too, right? Our brain and our nervous system to embody something new. Usually, Einstein always says you can't solve the problem with the same people that created it or the same mind. So we have to then embody something new. We have to be and act and maneuver in this world a little differently than we did prior to this growth edge or to this different thing that we're walking into. We have to allow our bodies and our brains and our minds and our nervous system receive something new. And some of you have heard me for a while because you've been listening about this idea of we can manifest all we want to, but if you aren't open to receiving it, it just bounces off, man. It's like hitting the backboard of a basketball hoop. It just bounces right off of you. So we have to be in that state to receive something new and not be tied to the outcome of what that is. We may say we want to go out and impact 20 additional lives by having them sign up for the mastermind. And ultimately, the something new there is transforming 20 people's lives. So when 7 people sign up for the mastermind, but then I have 13 people sign up for an event, or 10 sign up for an event and 3 sign up as a private client, I am transforming lives. It may just not be in that exact amount that I originally thought of, right? So it's important to be able to receive and look at things in a new and creative way. And then, folks, we have to expect it. I can't tell you how many times I just had a client the other day that's doing a retreat somewhere and it's still 2 months out and asking me if she should cancel. Well, in her mind, is she expecting it to happen or not expecting it to happen? Now, we all go through this. I'm not downing that client. It's that identity trying to shift into that new thought process, right? That new shift in our brains and our bodies and our nervous system, that old identity comes back out because that feels safe, right? So we have to expect it to happen. Like, of course it's going to happen. Now, again, it may not happen exactly like we thought it would. Many of you have heard me tell the story about how I manifested a male love relationship in my life, and I ended up with a miniature Bernie doodle with 4 legs and a lot of hair and a lot of like expense because he has to be groomed. And then I send him on play dates and they have vet bills and everything else. Now I'm not complaining, but I was expecting a male love relationship to come into my life, and he did. And let me tell you, am I so grateful for that, because it has opened up my heart in a completely different way, where I truly feel like now that when I meet someone that matches my vibration and I'm able to open up and actually accept and receive an invitation for a date, I'm actually, without being nervous about it or frightened by it. So there's things that we manifest into our life, again, that look differently, but we have to expect something new to come into our life. We have to be able to have that expectation that it is going to happen. So what happens though is our old identity often has different expectations, Oh, I don't know how to do that. Why would someone pay me to do that for them? I don't want to be out on social media and be visible. That's scary. What will other people think of me? What will they say about me? It just saddens my heart when I see things, especially like in the Olympics, the things that were being said to people. People hide behind that. And I kind of live off the old adage, if you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say it. But we've allowed some of that, right? So then we get nervous that we're going to have people come out and say bad things. Well, frankly, I think that says more about the person saying the thing that's not very nice than it does about the other person or about myself. Now, another thing I run into a lot is people worry about what their family will think. They're afraid they're going to fail. Well, here's the deal. If I'm not tied to the outcome, how can it be a failure? I'm either going to learn from something or something bigger and better is going to be coming my way because I was thinking smaller. I have a client that went to an investment group and they turned her down because they said her goals weren't big enough. And that was kind of a wake-up call for her to say, oh, okay, there's some fear in there. And fear, folks, is nothing but false evidence appearing real. So being afraid that you're going to fail, being afraid of what other people are going to think. And so it's important to go through and figure out what is the false evidence that's appearing real to me? What is really out there? 99.9% of the time when I work with clients through this and we start to see then the message that they're getting, it's an untruth and they see it as an untruth then. And it really shifts and empowers them. So what happens is when we start thinking those things, then our nervous system reacts and it causes then our bodies to psychologically, well, that too, but physiologically respond. And then our brains go into what I call monkey brain or like squirrels in the nest, right? There's a book called The Energy of Money, and she refers to this moment as being at the border. So the law of transmutational energy says that we have an idea, there's energy there, it's always changing form. And when we go to put it into the three-dimensional form and actually create something, we're taking that idea into reality. You come to this border where your mind starts and your identity is going nuts up there in your mind and saying all of these things that I just mentioned prior to this, trying to keep you safe, right? So that mind starts to twirl. And I think it's important for you to have some tools to be able to slow your body down, slow your nervous system down, and allow you to respond instead of react. So let's go through this. The decision I make, and I'm going back to one that I did, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. I decide to hold an event in Sandpoint, Idaho in October, and I want 20 people at the event. I believe it's possible. And then my monkey brain takes over. And here's what I'll tell you. Sometimes you have to go through this process numerous times to really get to the heart of what is stopping you from moving to that new identity. So if we think about, we're trying to get our bodies and our brains and our minds and our souls to believe something new. Well, then the belief I had was, why would someone want to pay money to have me teach them for 3 days? It moves to, I have a message. I help people have more life. I help them lead a lit up life because I help them see what's important to them. I help them see a vision and the possibilities and how to go for that vision with balance, because there's always an opportunity cost. Yeah, somebody could come to me and be making zero money and make $1 million this year, but there is an opportunity cost. And it just depends. I'm not saying that it's wrong to go do that. I'm not saying it's right. So I don't love the right wrong thing, right? But it's about then seeing that vision with a balance and peace and helping them also make money doing it. So why wouldn't someone want to learn that? So I go from why would someone want me to teach them to why wouldn't someone want to learn it and pay me for it? Another belief might have been, and I had this, who would come to Sandpoint for a retreat? It's 90 minutes from the Spokane airport. Well, let's see. It's a beautiful place that every time I have people come here for retreats or VIP days or whatever, I have never had someone dislike it. And I've always had someone say, I want to come back here. This is beautiful. I'd love to bring my family. Right? So it's about shifting that belief and turning it, the law of polarity, to the other side. Now, the second piece was that we needed to embody something new, right? So the whole who am I? The imposter syndrome that comes out. And I don't believe to fake it till you make it, but really be it until you believe it, right? So take a few moments to envision what and how that man or woman who runs the successful retreat acts. And in this case, for me, I'm going to use the pronoun she. So, how does that woman act? How does that woman speak? What does she look like? What is she wearing? How does it feel to her to see these other men and women have aha moments and see the transformation occur? So I step into that. I have a meditation that I actually do at the October retreat to have people step into that energy and then stay in that energy. My job is to stay at that high vibration, nothing more. Because when I stay at that high vibration, I'm not chasing, I'm attracting. So it's about embodying that. The other thing we talked about receiving something new. I'm asking my brain to have a little bit of newness about receiving. And if I struggle receiving, this is even more of a struggle. So it goes from like a way this might show up is I have to control the outcomes of what happens in the retreat to what happens is supposed to happen. The people that come are exactly who need to be there. Because each person, each of you is uniquely your own person. No one else on the planet is like you. So, of course, if I believe the universe is for me, then God has this, right? I don't need to control the outcome. It's going to happen the way it happens. Now, it doesn't mean I don't put in some masculine structure to help me stay in that flow. And I have my staff come and helps me so that I don't have to get into the muggle world. I can stay in my wizarding world. I can like stay out of the details of things, and they handle the food and the details for everything so that I can stay channeling and working really tapped into people. And that came through a course of time. I used to try to do it all myself. There's learning through all of this too. Now, the fourth thing was expecting something new. So the first retreat I did, I had 12 people. So I mentally put a cap on myself, right? Oh, I know I can at least have 12 people there. So moving from that process to envisioning 20 people in this gorgeous mansion on this lake, I expect it to happen. That's the belief. That's the faith that it will happen. And then last year, I spoke at an event in May and I sold 7 or 8 tickets right there in May. I had never sold it that soon, right? So now I have an expectation and a belief that it's going to start selling here in a couple of months and be sold out a few weeks before the event. So that expectation is there. And when you have that expectation, what happens is then remember, we're creating this new identity. That new identity takes place. And so I start doing actions that potentially I didn't do before I leveled up. So when I'm believing that and expecting that, I'm doing actions in a different way, right? I'm doing causes in the law of cause and effect a little differently. Now, there's also this law of gestation. And I've manifested things that came at different times than I thought it should or that I wanted it to. I always joke that there's Debbie time. I said that earlier, and then there's real time, right? So it comes at a different time, or there was a process that needed to go through, and certain things had to come to fruition before I was capable of holding the new identity. You know, I have people try to beat themselves up and they'll be like, well, why didn't I do this 6 months ago? Well, you weren't ready to. It's just brain science, right? So instead of lowering your vibration and beating yourself up, just realize you weren't ready to hold it yet, but you are now. That's the important thing. So this identity is so important because, again, I mentioned this earlier, we don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. So that's kind of the neuroscience. That's even years ago, people that write about manifesting. It's about this fact that we don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. So shifting that want into, of course it's going to happen, having that belief, that expectation, knowing that I'm in cause, changing the way I think about it and the belief about it actually changes how it occurs. So our brain, though, creates this reality through familiarity, right? So we tend to go to what's familiar. So the more you can get comfortable feeling uncomfortable, the faster sometimes it is for you to see things and make changes to go forward. The other thing with this is safety, right? We feel like we need to be safe. And then also this emotional rehearsal, right? Like feel the feels, feel what it feels like to be that woman holding the retreat with 20 people. And then again, be it until you become it. So if you desire something big, but you don't yet feel like that version of you who holds it, that's natural. The faster we can move our minds and our bodies into this new identity for ourselves, the faster the manifestation will occur. This part of the manifestation process is really not talked about a lot. So that's why I've been going into it. So in our personal lives and in our business lives, sometimes we have to release old stories. We have to say no to things, the law of sacrifice. We have to change who and what we're tolerating around us. We have to heal some emotional patterns. And then we have to make space internally for a new reality. And sometimes it's messy, it's normal though, and it's also sacred. When we think about being drawn to bigger visions or deeper work, or we see something bigger and it frightens us, just know that that's normal. But also, when we look at it, remember that fear and excitement feel the same way in our bodies, right? Shift from urgency to inevitability. The more certain you feel internally about something, the faster the results align. So, thinking about keeping yourself safe by asking yourself if you want fear or if you want excitement. And the fear is false evidence appearing real. So, ask yourself, who am I becoming? What part of me is integrating safety around this desire? So, maybe holding yourself back. What identity shift is being asked of me right now, and how can I slow down to speed up? I use nature walks. I have breathing exercises I do, making sure I get good sleep. Whenever I level up, I go see a therapist because I know my mind starts to go in circles. Do what you need to do to help yourself through that, because manifestation is working. It's just not always working on our own timeline. And when your identity catches up with you, everything changes. So do me a solid, folks. If you enjoyed this, share it with a friend, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks so much for listening in. Thank you for being here and for choosing to spend your time in this conversation. If this work resonates with you, subscribe to the podcast and stay with us as we continue to explore what it means to lead, grow, and live with intention. Let's build your version of the lit up life. I'll see you in the next episode.